Welcome to a new review! Today we're going to take a look at the new support for Crystal Beast that is coming out in about a week from now, as well as also the advanced Crystal Beast that we're supposed to get in a little bit of a while. This particular support is pretty interesting, and I wanted to talk about it because I think it's just a little bit confusing for some people how to play with this deck, or just in general, what are the good cards. So I decided to just, make a video because I also like to look at new cards and essentially tell you what my opinion is, and also creating some kind of a discussion. But before we jump right into the video itself, I'm going to remind you that if you want to see more videos like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It helps a ton. Thank you all so much for the support. Let me know in the comments down below what do you think about my review of this, as well as in general. Give a like to the video if you enjoyed. But without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, talking about the new Crystal Beast stuff, basically because this is a support review and not the original, taking a first look at the new archetype, I'm not going to have the sections of strong and weak as well as just good ways to beat it, because we already know the strengths and weaknesses of Crystal Beast. I'm just going to talk about the new cards, which I think is still very interesting. The second thing I want to mention is that I'm going to talk about also not only the new structure deck and the November support that we're supposed to get, but we're also going to talk about shortly about the two recent Crystal Beast cards that we already got in the TCG, one from the Megaton and one from Ghost in the Past, the second Hunting, because I do think they're setting a little bit of a borderline to understand the new support. So now let's jump right into it with the first two cards as I mentioned, which is Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon and Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. These particular cards are cards that came out recently, one in, like I said, the second Hunting, the second one in Megatons, and basically they really help the deck immensely. In the case of Crystal Beast, Rainbow Dragon is absolutely excellent because it counts as a new Crystal Beast name. Basically, if you're playing the 7-name version of trying to bring out the fusion monster, you can cut one of the bad names for this, which is something people have done for a while. But mostly what this card is important for, besides having this almost the same effect as all Crystal Beast monsters, is the fact that you're able to banish this card that is treated as a continuous spell to special summon one level 4 or lower Crystal Beast monster from your deck to your hand, or should I say from your deck to your side of the field, but its effects are negated. And on top of that, you're also getting to add an ultimate crystal monster from your deck to your hand. And if ultimate crystal monster is not something that rings a bell, it's basically mean Rainbow Dragon, the fusions themselves, Dark Rainbow Dragon, and things of that nature that are basically the big boss monsters for this archetype. So this card was pretty excellent, and it's still very excellent because of the fact that it's just giving you a little bit more searchability and just getting you better cards. And it's basically, how should I say this, a card that you immediately equip with Sapphire Pegasus to just get the cards that you need. And now with the new support, as you will see, it's also getting your engine going with some particular things. So it's really important to know about this card. The second card, which is Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, mostly is important for its second grave effect, which you can only, of course, use once per duel. Both of the effects are once per duel, but this is the most important one. The effect in the graveyard is basically allowing you to banish this from the graveyard, add a Crystal Beast, and any field spell from your deck to your hand. Now granted, this can also search mine, which I hate, but there are ways to get this card into your graveyard with Foolish Burial Goods, as well as some other cards, giving you the ability to not only search a Crystal Beast monster, but maybe a good field spell. Like I said, mine is on the table, unfortunately, but it's still giving you the ability to just get cards that you want into your hand. And it's like a Frightful Patchwork, which is basically 2 for the price of 1, so this is really good. The first effect is just a weird shuffling effect that, if you have 2 level 10s, or there are 2 level 10s monsters on the field, you're able to basically shuffle everything and just restart the duel from everywhere, and then your opponent just shuffle, and you shuffle the entire thing except this card, which is then going to send at the end to the graveyard, and then you both shuffle, or should I say draw 5 cards and technically restart the duel again. But like I said, the most important effect is the effect in the grave, and it's just very good. So talking about the new Crystal Beast support in the structure deck, we basically have 3 spells, 3 traps, and 1 fusion monsters to go over. So basically, we're going to start with the spells first, because I think the spells are kind of the main cards that you're going to use, and they're also the most important one in my opinion from the new support. The 3 spells that we have are Awakening of the Crystal Lord, we have Bridge of Heart, and we also have Crystal Protection. These 3 particular cards are very interesting, and they're kind of just helping raise the consistency quite a bit. In the case of Awakening of the Crystal Lord, it's basically a searcher for your bridge cards or your Rainbow Refraction, which is the so-called attack of Rainbow Dragon on a card, or should I say on a spell, that you can add from your deck to your hand if you have Ultimate Crystal, which is Rainbow Dragon and things of that nature, in your hand, revealed or on the field. And then if you also have Ultimate Crystal monster on the field, you can also activate the second effect as well. Basically, you can activate one of the effects, but mostly you're going to use the first one. And the second one, you can just activate it on top if you have the Ultimate Crystal monster on the field, or you can choose to activate the second one if it's in your hand instead of the first one. The second one allowing you to special summon a Crystal Beast monster from your hand, deck, graveyard, or spell and trap card zone, giving you a very nice flexibility to get any Crystal Beast monster of your choice. Now granted, like I said, in my opinion, it is used for the first effect alone to search a bridge card or a Rainbow Refraction from your deck to your hand, but it's still a very, very good and nice card. It does depend on the Ultimate Crystal monsters, but it's not really that hard to add them to your hand, especially now with the involvement of Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, giving you the ability to add an Ultimate Crystal from your deck to your hand, as we talked about earlier. Now for the next card, Bridge of Heart basically is another really excellent card. It's a continuous spell that is giving you an additional normal summon for your Crystal Beast monsters. On top of that, you can destroy a Crystal Beast card you control, or should I say, yeah, Crystal Beast card you control, so it can be in the spell trap card zone or also a monster, or in your hand, and then you're able to search a Crystal spell trap from your deck to your hand, meaning you can search things like Crystal Bond, Crystal Raigeki even, Crystal Tree, all of the cards that have Crystal in their name, and that is really, really nice. But the final effect is also a very interesting one, is that if a Crystal Beast card is placed in your spell and trap card zone, you're able to basically bounce this card and one card your opponent control back to the hand, which giving you a very nice kind of removal, and also just saving this card in your hand so you can actually use it next turn and not be afraid that your opponent just going to, destroy it during their turn, and then you're just going to lose it. So that is a pretty excellent card in my opinion. It's not the best, but it's still very, very good. And then the last card in my opinion is the Whiskist card out of the spell, Crystal Protection. Still very, very nice, but it's allowing you to destroy one of your, or should I say, yeah, destroy one of your Crystal Beast monsters in order to trigger its effect, of course. And then you special summon a token with the same stats, attribute, and everything as it. And then it also have the other effect that is, if it's in the graveyard, if a Crystal card or Crystal Beast card is placed in your spell and trap card zone, and this card is in the graveyard, except even during the damage step, unlike the previous card, Bridge of Heart, you're able to banish this card from the graveyard and special summon a Crystal Beast monster from your spell and trap card zone to your side of the field, giving you a pretty interesting free special summoner, so it's actually quite fine. However, out of these cards specifically, I'm going to give both of the first two spells, Awakening of the Crystal Lord and Bridge of Heart, I'm going to give them both 4 stars. Excellent cards, have their restrictions, but still great cards when it comes to searching and essentially raising the consistency of the deck. Crystal Protection, however, getting 2. It is a good one-off, but it's not more than a good one-off. It's not better than that, and I think it is just a decent card to play as a one-off to addition of your actual good cards for control variants or just in general, because it's not that bad, but it could have been a little bit better in my opinion. Now, moving on into our traps that we're getting for the structure deck, we have 3 of them as well, as I mentioned before, which are Crystal Grace, Crystal Miracle, and Crystal Brilliance. Crystal Grace allowing you to special summon up to 2 Crystal Beast monsters from your spell and trap card zone and gain life points equal to their attack. To their total attack, obviously. So basically, let's say you summon a Sapphire Pegasus and a Cobalt Sparrow, you're able, or Cobalt Eagle, sorry. I don't remember the name of that one specifically, but I think it's Cobalt Eagle. Point is, if you do that, you're able to basically gain life points of 1700 or 1800 plus 1400. So you're getting, for example, 3200 life points back with this particular card, or on over of your life points as well. On top of that, it also have the additional effect that if a Crystal Beast card is placed in a spell card zone while this card is in the graveyard, even during the damage step, you can banish this card and then activate the top card of your deck, and if it's a Crystal Beast monster, you can either add it to your hand or special summon it. And then the other effect, if it's not that, you're basically sending it to the graveyard. So it is an interesting card where it comes to just free special summoning back monsters, but I think it's one of the weaker side traps of the support. The actual star of the show where it comes to the traps is Crystal Miracle. Crystal Miracle is ridiculous because this card is an Infinity Barrier for Crystal Beast that basically when a spell and trap card or a monster effect is activated, you can destroy one Crystal Beast card you control and negate the effect and destroy that card. And if a Crystal Beast monster, or should I say beast card is placed in the spell and trap card zone, or this card in the graveyard, you're able to basically banish this card and place one Crystal Beast monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard in your spell and trap card zone as a continuous spell. So this is giving you, again, another way to just continue filling your spell and trap card zone with Crystal Beast monster. This card is absolutely insane because of one reason. It is not a hard once per turn Infinity Barrier, which giving the control variant of this deck as something really powerful. And just in general, this card is just really good. An Infinity Barrier that is searchable is always good, and having an ability to just play this card at 3 with no problem is just ridiculous. This card is absolutely amazing, and it's basically the best trap in the entire support. And kind of, I think the reason why Crystal Conclave, or should I say, yeah, Conclave build is actually able to work for the most part, because you do have a counter trap that basically just stops your opponent, and it's an Infinity Barrier that you can use multiple times per turn, because most archetypes, when they have this kind of a card, they are limited to only use one of it per turn, because, you know, that's mostly how archetype design works. But in this one case, they did not do that, so that's pretty awesome. The last card is the continuous spell Crystal Brilliance. This particular card allowing you to only control one of it. You cannot control more than one, just like the what are called the Runic continuous spell. It's the same idea. And it's giving all of your Crystal Beast monsters the ability to gain attack equal to their defense as well. So let's say you have, I don't know, Amulet Cat, which have 1200 attack and 600 defense. She basically now on 1800 attack because she's getting 600 defense from this particular effect. On top of that, if a Crystal Beast card is placed in a spell and trap card zone, even during the damage step, you can send this face-up card from your spell and trap card zone to the graveyard and special summon one Crystal Beast monster from your hand or graveyard. Also, any damage you take this turn is halved. Now, this card is pretty interesting, don't get me wrong, it's pretty nice to boost your monsters. There are some particular monsters, like what are called the Pegasus, which can become like 30,000 beatstick because of this card. But this particular card is unlike the rest of the cards. Even like Grace is a lot worse because it doesn't really do a whole lot. I do think in some particular cases it is better than Grace, but also I don't think it is better than Grace. So I'm going to give Grace, I'm going to give 2 stars. This I'm going to give 1 star. I think it's one of the worst cards in the entire support. And of course, Crystal Miracle going to get 5. It's just an Infinity Barrier that can activate multiple times per turn. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Now for the last card, Rainbow Dragon Overdrive. This is the fusion monster of the archetype. This one is the big boy. It's even bigger than the previous fusion monsters that we got, because this one requires 8 fusion materials. You heard that correctly, 8 fusion materials. This one is needing an ultimate crystal monster plus 7 crystal beast monsters. Now granted, they don't have to be with different names, so that's good, but it's still a lot of materials. So how do you summon this guy? Well, it's actually pretty cool. This card is always treated as an ultimate crystal card. Like I said, that's why it works really well with the Awakening of the Crystal Lord, because, you know, this counts as an ultimate crystal monster. On top of that, this card can be special summoned from your extra deck by during a duel that you special summon an ultimate crystal monster, Rainbow Dragon. So you're able to banish the materials from your hand, field, or graveyard, or should I say from your field or graveyard, to essentially summon this card. So let's say you have 7 Crystal Beast monsters in your graveyard that you got there, as well as a Rainbow Dragon. You're able to banish all 8 of these materials from there. No need for a fusion spell, no need to hoard these in your hand, and then special summon this card easily. On top of that, this card gains 7,000 attack while you have 7 or more Crystal Beast monsters with different name banished. So let's say you use the same names, this card will not get the boost, but it's still very good. On top of that, if this card did not battle this turn, as a quick effect, you can tribute this card, shuffle as many cards on the field as possible into the deck, and if you do, special summon any number of your banished Crystal Beast monsters. Which is excellent, because you can just, oh hey, not battle with this, good, I now have a monster that just like special summon the entire field. A lot of monsters and shuffle everything back, so if your opponent have like a big field, they just basically shuffle everything into the deck. But mostly what this card is good for is just the cool, easy boss monster after you did all of your particular things, because there are ways to get 7 Crystal Beasts into your graveyard, and also summoning Rainbow Dragon itself to your side of the field with the old support from Ancient Millennium, I believe, the Legendary Duelist Ancient Millennium. You got the support that also just giving you a trap that's like sent to the graveyard 7 different Crystal Beast monsters. So this allowing you to basically special summon it with the graveyard with ease with that. It becomes an 1100 beat stick, which basically can all decay almost anything. And also, if it doesn't battle, you're getting basically a board wipe. So this card is absolutely excellent in terms of like, you know, an amazing flavorful boss monster. I do think, however, it's not the most easier one to summon, and I'm not sure if the most practical. I'm going to give it a 3. I think it's a cool card. I just don't think it's like the most practical where it comes to the monsters. But I still think it's another really good addition to the extra deck of Crystal Beast, and I think it's a really cool card. Finally, now we can talk about the advanced Crystal Beast cards that we're supposed to get in November, which are also about time that we'll get them actually as a support, and they're supposed to be the retrains of the original Crystal Beast monster, although this is an advantage and disadvantage as you will see. But in order to just set a borderline thing with all of their effects and just save as much time as possible, all of the advanced Crystal Beast monsters share 2 effects. The first effect is the effect that all Crystal Beast monsters share, is that if this card is destroyed in the monster zone, you're able to basically place it in your spell and trap card zone as a continued spell. The other effect that all the advanced Crystal Beast monsters share is that if Advanced Dark is not in the field spell zone, you send this card to the graveyard. Which is really bad, because it's not destroy them, because if it was destroyed, you can place it in your spell and trap card zone. So if Advanced Dark is on the field, these cards are just dead by themselves. So, you know, that's a little bit of a problem where it comes to these monsters. But maybe they have good effects that are essentially making up for it. Let's take a look at them. So first and foremost, we have Ruby Carbuncle, then we have Umber Mammoth, of course, we have Topaz Tiger, Emerald Tortoise, Sapphire Pegasus, Cobalt Eagle, and Amulet's Cat. All of them got a retrain as Advanced Crystal Beast. As for Ruby Carbuncle, she's basically an advanced version, of course, of the original one. Unfortunately, only work with the Advanced Crystal Beast, which is a theme that you will see, because her effect is the following. You can special summon this card from your spell and trap card zone if it's treated as a continuous spell, and you're able to special summon as many Advanced Crystal Beast monsters as possible from your spell and trap card zone. So it's basically a better effect from Ruby Carbuncle, because Ruby Carbuncle needed an effect that will special summon it from the spell and trap card zone in order to special summon herself and special summon all of your Crystal Beast monsters. This one can do it by itself. However, like I said, it required a field spell to not send itself to the graveyard, and also can special summon Advanced Crystal Beast monsters, so there are some particular things to talk about that, which we'll talk about the rating in a second. For Umber Mammoth effect, she is basically, protection for your Advanced Crystal Beast monsters from targeting effects as a once per turn. When your opponent activates effect that target your Advanced Crystal Beast cards, or your Advanced Dark itself, you're able to negate that effect, and then during the battle, if your opponent trying to battle your Advanced Crystal Beast monsters, you're able to negate that battle as well, or should I say, you know, negate that attack, and that is also really good, giving you a little bit of a protection. As for Topaz Tiger, it's a boost for all of your Advanced Crystal Beast monsters, including himself, so it basically comes at 2,000 and all of your monsters are getting the boost. But on top of that, the addition of his effect is that all of your opponent monsters lose 4,000 attack and defense as well. So he basically boosts also the attack and defense for his own Advanced Crystal Beast buddies, including himself of course, and also decrease for the opponent monsters by 400 attack and defense. So that is pretty interesting and a very interesting, kind of like a better effect on this particular very simple effect, which actually became a lot better when it comes to that, although still not super excellent. As for Emerald Tortoise, basically get switch battle position as a quick play effect once per turn for any monster in the field, so it's kind of fine. As for Sapphire Pegasus, he got the ability to basically place one Advanced Crystal Beast monster that is banished in your hand, deck, or graveyard, so it's basically everywhere. and then you can place it in your spell and trap card zone as a continuous spell, just like the original one. But unlike the original one, it's only with Advanced Crystal Beast, and you can place it from everywhere, as long as it's there, basically. Then for Kobold's Eagle, it's actually got another effect on top of its remake of its old one, and that is the fact that you can send it from your hand or field to the graveyard to search for your Advanced Dark from your deck to your hand, so you got yourself your Field Spell Searcher, because the entire archetype kind of depending on Advanced Dark, so having something that can actually get that is really, really good. On top of that, the basically better effect, although not really still that good, is that allowing you to target one Advanced Crystal Beast card you control and either return it to your hand or place it on the top of your deck. Not really sure it's really, really good, but at least you're not getting to put it just on top of your deck. You're actually also able to add it to your hand if you want to. So that is a particular thing. And last one for Amulet Cat, she's just giving you the ability for all your Advanced Crystal Beast monsters to attack directly, including also, once again, the thing that they have their attack, but all of your Advanced Crystal Beasts can attack directly, not just her. So, what do I think about the Advanced Crystal Beast monsters now we're talked about them? Well, Advanced Crystal Beasts, like I said, have this particular one problem, again, that they're depending on a field spell too much, and the second problem, that they only work with themselves. If they worked with the original a little bit better, I would say these cards are excellent, but there are kind of like split parts of the community that think that these cards are not that good because they don't work with the original, but they're also very, very good for the 7 Crystal Beast monsters that you're trying to use to summon the boss monster, because there are better names than the original and they're doing better things, so you can just mix and match together and use the Crystal Beast as the support for the Advanced Crystal Beast, and essentially just playing only the good Advanced Crystal Beast monsters, so that is a thing, but still I think there are some particular things in Advanced Crystal Beast that could have been done better. As for the monsters themselves, Advanced Crystal Beast, Ruby Carbuncle, Kobold Sparrow, and Sapphire Pegasus are the great cards out of the support. I'm going to give all of them, in my opinion, 4 stars. They're not super excellent, they're just really, really good. Kobold Sparrow, the fact that you can search the field spell is really, really good, giving you another way to see the field spell that you need. Ruby Carbuncle, of course, is a free special summon for all of your Advanced Dark monsters. Very, very good. And then you also have the Sapphire Pegasus, because the effect of Sapphire Pegasus, the original, is very, very good. So this one bound to be good as well. The other ones, on the other hand, is also up to personal preference where it comes to these. I think Amulet Cat and Topaz Tiger are the worst one out of the two. Not super terrible, but not as good as well. Always the cats are doing the worst, unfortunately, where it comes to this support. I'm going to give both of them a 2. I think Topaz Tiger definitely is the worst one right now, even though then more than Amulet Cat, because Cat, unlike this one, is able to basically make all of your monsters attack directly, which is a little bit more beneficial for OTKs than just like getting 400 attack boost and your opponent losing 400 attack as well. It's just a little bit, in my opinion, more beneficial than the Topaz Tiger, but again, not the best still. As for the 2 last ones, I'm going to give them 3 for Emerald Tortoise and Umber Mammoth. Very good utility, quick play effects, not amazing, but still very, very good. Very surprised that both of these cards are actually better than the 2 cards that were better than them in the original version, although Cat wasn't really good as always, but Topaz Tiger was considered to be better than their original version because it was a level 4 that actually boosted your monster. I don't know, it just, these are a little bit better in this particular version, and I actually think at least, well, Tortoise, in what I've seen in builds, does see play at least as a one-off because of the fact that his utility effect does come up in some weird battle phase situations, so it's not the worst battle trick as well as just the 2000 body is still very decent where it comes to that. So that's it for the Crystal Beast support and everything of that nature. Overall, I think there are 4 variants that you can play with this deck. The first one is the original version with just using the new spell trap cards as well as the fusion monster to play the usual version that we played up to now, which is trying to summon the big fusion monster, which are traps and everything, and trying to control the board that way, and essentially also trying to use your big ultimate crystal monsters to OTK your opponent and just gaining advantage in everything. The second version is the version that I'm seeing some people going into, which is, again, using the new spell and trap card support, but not really going into the route of the ultimate crystal monsters, and that is the Crystal Conclave version, which is basically playing for full control 100%. The third version is of course using the advanced darks as themselves. No support from the original Crystal Beast monsters, but just focus on them as your main thing. Again, doing as the first deck as well, but not using any other support that is count as the original Crystal Beast monsters. And the fourth and final version is combining both Advanced Crystal Beast and, well, you know, the Crystal Beast themselves to basically make a version that is just taking both good from both worlds to, again, summon your big ultimate crystal monsters, which is pretty cool. Now, granted, like I said, this deck is still not the best, and I'm still going to give it 2-star, even though it's really good. I do think it's a casual deck, but on the weaker side, still got really good support cards, but I think they could have done a little bit better with a little bit more retrains or maybe additional more cards. Not saying these are terrible, I'm just saying, like, it's not as good as I want it to be, but I still think they're really fine. So, that's my opinion on these. Let me know in the comments down below if you think it's a little bit better than I'm giving it credit for. But I do think the Crystal Beast has never really been the strongest of deck, and its basic support, like, you know, the good cards are the spells and traps, but it's not enough to save it in my opinion. So, still very fun, but I still think it's just more of a fun, really weak casual deck and nothing else than that. Still might be going to buy them because I think they're really cool, but other than that, meh, I think they're just fine. But that's pretty much does it for the support and does it for the, you know, the review as a whole. Hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something new. I do like the support, I really think it's cool. I just think it could have been a tiny bit a little bit better, but other than that, I think it's really nice. So, yeah, that's pretty much for me. Next up, when the review will come out, I'm probably going to start covering up stuff from Darkwing Blast. So stay on the lookout for that. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.